The aroma of seared salmon and lemon butter filled the penthouse, the kind of meal I only cooked for special occasions. Our anniversary wasn't for another 3 months, but after 12 years of marriage, I liked to keep her guessing. The jazz playlist she loved hummed softly in the background, candles flickering against the floor-to-ceiling windows that framed the city skyline. Everything was perfect until her phone buzzed on the marble countertop. Again, that was the third time. Tonight, I wiped my hands on the towel, eyeing the screen as it lit up. Another work email, according to the notification, at 11:07 p.m. on a Friday. Richard, her boss, had always been a hard ass about deadlines, but this was pushing it. I told myself not to look. Trust was the foundation of our marriage, after all. But when the screen flashed a second time, my fingers moved before my brain could stop them. Asterisk, asterisk, Monsieur, Mrs. Thompson. Asterisk, asterisk, the blood in my veins turned to ice. Her boss's name was Richard Bennett. Her maiden name was Thompson. The phone slipped from my grip, clattering onto the counter. For a second, I just stared at it, waiting for the words to rearrange themselves into something that made sense. They didn't. My pulse roared in my ears, drowning out the music, the sizzle of the pan, the distant honking of taxis 12 stories below. I picked up the phone again, my thumb hovering over the notification. One tap, and I'd see the rest. One tap, and everything, the marriage, the trust, the future I'd built in my head would shatter. I tapped. The message thread loaded, and my stomach dropped. Richard, asterisk, can't stop thinking about last weekend. When can I see you again? Asterisk, 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 her, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Soon. He's working late again Thursday. Asterisk, 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 Richard. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Good. Bring the black lingerie. The one I got you. Asterisk, a laugh escaped me raw, humorless. The black lingerie. She'd worn it for me last month. Or so I thought. Said she wanted to spice things up. I'd been flattered. Now I felt sick. I scrolled up, my fingers trembling. Dozens of messages. Hotel confirmations. A photo of her in a bathrobe at the RITZ, our hotel, where we'd spend our 5th anniversary. The date stamp was from 2 weeks ago, when she'd claimed she was visiting her sister. The salmon burned behind me, smoke curling into the air. I didn't move. Didn't care. Then the final mail. A forwarded email from her lawyer. Subject line, asterisk, asterisk, prenup review, final draft. Asterisk, asterisk attached was a document I'd never seen. A postnuptial agreement dated 6 months ago, stating that in the event of divorce, she kept the penthouse. She kept the investments. She walked away with everything because, according to the fine print, I had failed to disclose assets at the time of our marriage, except I had. Every cent got the screen blurred. I realized I was gripping the phone so hard, the edges bit into my palm. A key turned in the front door. Babe, I'm home. Her voice, bright and airy, echoed down the hall. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was. She stopped. In the doorway, heels in hand, her smile fading as she took in the scene, the ruined dinner, the smoke, the phone in my grip, and the look on my face. Her lips parted. Gerald. I held up the phone, her own words staring back at her. Asterisk, asterisk, Monsieur, Mrs. Thompson. Asterisk, asterisk, her face drained of color. Asterisk, cut to black. She thought I'd never find out. Asterisk, the first time I noticed something was off, we were having Sunday. Brunch at our usual cafe. Claire reached for her phone when it buzzed, then quickly flipped it face down. Her fingers lingered a second too long. Just work, she said, smiling over her mimosa. But her thumb had swiped left too fast before. I could see the notification. I let it go. 12 years of marriage deserve trust. We'd build a life together, a boutique marketing firm, A lakeside home in Connecticut, the kind of quiet success people admired. Or so I thought. Then came the yoga retreat. 3 days in Sedona, Claire announced, packing her Lululemon leggings. Solo trip to recharge. I kissed her goodbye, even held the Uber door. But that night, scrolling through Instagram, I paused on a post from her coworker, Daniel Hartwell. A blurry casino shot. Vegas, baby. The timestamp, today. The same weekend as Claire's retreat. My chest tightened. I checked her credit card statement. She'd booked a Southwest flight, not American like she told me, and a $1,200 charge at Bernard's Jewelers. For a men's Rolex. I didn't own a Rolex. I poured a bourbon, staring at our wedding photo on the bookshelf. Claire in white lace, me in my grandfather's cufflinks. Till death do us part. The ice clinked as I dialed a number I'd never called before. Silver Oak Investigations, a voice answered. 3 days later, a manila envelope arrived. Inside, photos of Claire and Daniel at a cedar cabin in the Poconos. Our cabin where we'd spent our 5th anniversary. She was wearing the black silk robe I'd bought her last Christmas. His hand gripped her waist, a glint of silver on his wrist. A new watch. Beneath the photos lay another slip of paper. A receipt from Lancaster and Gray, attorneys at law. Prenup consultation. Date, June 15th, 2012. The day after our wedding, the room spun. I remembered that morning Claire rushing out for a dentist appointment. Now I knew where she'd really been. That night, I waited in the dark, the envelope on the coffee table. Headlights washed over the walls as her car pulled in. Keys jingled. The door creaked open. Mark? Why are the lights? She froze, spotting the photos. Her purse hit the floor with a thud. I held up the receipt. You were planning this from the beginning. Her mouth opened. No sound came out, then a vibration. Her phone lighting up on the counter. Daniel. Did you tell him yet? Asterisk, asterisk. The garage smelled of motor oil and bourbon, the only place in the house where Claire wouldn't look for me. I sat on the cracked leather stool, the one I'd salvaged from my father's old workshop, and poured another finger of whiskey, the amber. Liquid caught the dim light as I swirled it, watching our wedding album reflected in the glass. 12 years of memories stared back at me from that album. Claire in her lace gown, laughing as I fumbled with the ring. Our first dance under twinkling lights. The way she'd squeezed my hand when we bought this house, whispering, "This is ours forever." Forever lasted until a man named Daniel Hartwell walked into her life. The PI's photos lay scattered across my workbench, Claire and Daniel at the cabin. Her fingers tangled in his hair. The receipt for the prenup consultation. The jewelry store. Charge. Each piece of evidence was a knife twisting deeper. I drained the glass. The burn in my throat, nothing compared to the fire in my chest. If she wants war, I'll bury her in paperwork. The key logger next morning, I pretended everything was normal. Made coffee. Kissed her cheek as she left for work. The moment our car disappeared down the street, I booted up her laptop. She'd always been careless with passwords. "Mark, you're so paranoid," she'd say, rolling her eyes when I suggested two-factor authentication. Now, her carelessness was my advantage. I installed the keylogger in under 3 minutes. By lunchtime, I had her emails to Lancaster and Gray. Per our discussion, the offshore accounts are set up. Once Mark signs the merger papers, we'll move the assets. He'll never see it coming. My hands shook as I read it again. The merger, our company, the one we built from scratch. She wasn't just cheating, she was planning to rob me blind. That night, I left my phone recording in the living room before running to the store. When I played it back, her voice was crystal clear. "Daniel, relax. His loud ear doesn't suspect a thing. Once the divorce is final next month, we'll be free." A pause. Then Daniel's laugh, low and smug. "And the money, all of it," she said, "every penny." I rewound it twice, memorizing every word. Then I opened our joint account and transferred $500,000 to a Cayman Islands, holding company one she didn't know existed. Let her try stealing. Nothing. The trap the next week, I played the doting husband. Took her to dinner. Listened as she gushed about her yoga retreat with friends, all while quietly gathering more evidence. Text logs showing 87 calls to Daniel in the last month. Bank records proving she'd funneled $200,000 into a secret account. Security footage of her meeting her lawyer at a diner on our anniversary. The final piece, a forged email from Daniel asking her to meet at the cabin one last time. She took the bait. I watched from the trees as her car rolled up, headlights cutting through the dark. She stepped out, shivering in the cold, and texted him, "I'm here." "Where are you?" That's when I emerged from the shadows, holding up my phone, the recording of her voice playing back. "Once the divorce is final next month, we'll be free." Her face went pale. "Mark," I didn't let her finish. "Pack your things," I said, tossing her car keys into the snow. "You're sleeping at Daniel's tonight?" Then I turned and walked away. The cabin door slamming behind me. Asterisk. The grand ballroom of the St. Regis glittered under crystal chandeliers, every surface polished to perfection. Waiters in black ties circulated with trays of champagne, while the string quartet played Vivaldi in the corner. From the outside, it looked like just another charity gala, the kind Claire loved to host for her precious Women in Business initiative. But tonight wasn't about charity. I adjusted my cufflinks, the same ones I'd worn at our wedding, and watched as Claire worked the room in her emerald green gown. She'd spent hours getting ready, humming as she curled her hair, completely oblivious to what was coming. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, tapping my glass. The room quieted. "Before we begin the fundraising portion of the evening, I'd like to share something special." Claire beamed at me from across the room, her smile never reaching her eyes. She thought this was another performance, another night of playing the perfect power couple. I nodded to the AV technician. The projector screen descended behind me. Then I pressed play. Her voice filled the ballroom, crisp and clear from the speakers. "Daniel, relax. Once Mark signs the merger papers next week, we'll drain his shares. Lancaster says the prenup holds. He'll walk away with nothing." A gasp rippled through the crowd. Claire's champagne flute slipped from her fingers, shattering on the marble floor. I advanced the recording. "And the cabin?" Daniel's voice. "We'll sell it," Claire replied. "Use the money to start fresh. Mark never has to know." The room erupted. The fallout Richard Lancaster, her lawyer, lunged for the exit, but not before his wife intercepted him. The slap echoed through the ballroom, followed by the blinding flash of someone's iPhone. By morning, that video would be all over Instagram. The shareholders, our so-called friends, turned on her like wolves. "Motion to remove Claire Whitmore from the board," someone shouted. "Seconded." The vote was unanimous. Security appeared at her side, their grips firm on her elbows. As they led her away, her heels catching on the carpet, I leaned in close. "Enjoy." "The cabin," I whispered. "I sold it yesterday." Her face crumpled. For the first time in 12 years, I saw the real Claire, not the polished socialite, but a woman who'd gambled everything and lost. The doors swung shut behind her. Silence. Then, from the back of the room, slow clapping. One of our oldest investors, a silver-haired titan of industry, stepped forward. "Been waiting years for someone to put that woman in her place," he said. "Drinks are on me." The tension broke. Laughter, handshakes, offers to buy my shares. I stayed just long enough to be polite, then slipped out into the cool night air. My phone buzzed a notification from my offshore account. $1. 500,000 transfer complete. I hailed a cab and gave the driver an address. Claire didn't know dot time to start fresh. The warm Pacific breeze carried the scent of salt and frangipani as I sipped my morning coffee on the veranda. Below me, the first students of the day were already paddling out into the gentle waves of Playa Hermosa. My surf school, Pura Vida Escuela, had become the most popular in the region, though none of the tanned, laughing kids below knew I'd once been a suit and tie executive in another life. The phone rang. Miles, my former assistant, now the CEO of what used to be our company. You seen this? He asked without preamble. A link appeared in our chat. The New York Times business section. Whitmore Lancaster marketing collapses after shareholder revolt. I scrolled through the article with detached interest. Claire's photo stared back at me, a far cry from the polished socialite I'd married. Dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled into a messy ponytail. The caption read, "Former CEO now named in multiple lawsuits." The first lawsuit came from Daniel Hartwell's wife. Alienation of affection, a deliciously old-fashioned charge that cost Claire every remaining penny of her severance. The second came from Richard Lancaster's divorce settlement, which clawed back every dime she'd helped him hide from his ex. Then came the criminal charges: fraud, embezzlement, perjury. The prenup she'd secretly drafted became the noose around her neck when the judge ruled she'd committed egregious financial malfeasance during our marriage. My lawyer's email last week said it best. She thought the prenup protected her. She never imagined you'd use it to destroy her. The surfers below whooped as a perfect wave rolled in. I set down my phone and grabbed my board. The ocean didn't care about New York scandals or failed marriages. It only asked for balance and respect, things Claire never understood. 6 months later, a handwritten letter arrived at the school. The return address, a diner in Queens. I almost threw it away unopened, but curiosity won. Mark, I know I don't deserve a reply. I'm working at Earl's Diner now. The Rolex is long gone. Pawn shop next door offered $8,000. Funny, it was supposed to be my safety net. The irony isn't lost on me. You always said I regret underestimating you. Claire, I held the paper over the grill until it curled to ash. Some fires, once extinguished, should never be rekindled. That afternoon, I took a group of local kids out on the waves. As we paddled past the breakers, one of them asked why I'd left America. The ocean doesn't lie, I told him, and it never pretends to be something it's not. The kid nodded like he understood. Maybe he did. Behind us, the sun set in a blaze of oranges and pinks, colors too vibrant for New York's gray skies. Colors that didn't exist in Claire's world of spreadsheets and secret ledgers. Somewhere in Queens, a bell dinged as another customer entered a diner. Somewhere in the Caribbean, a banker processed the wire transfer for my second surf school location. The tide always comes in. The tide always goes out. And real life goes on. Fade in. The golden sun dips toward the horizon as I paddle. Out past the breakers. The ocean stretches endlessly, its rhythm steady and unchanging, unlike the turbulent life I left behind. Voiceover. Calm. Reflective. 12 years of marriage. Gone with the tide. Was I too harsh? Should I have exposed her the moment I saw that first text? Or was waiting for the perfect moment the right move?